Meantime, all of Washington doing some major damage control this morning after the website WikiLeaks released 250,000 secret documents. They paint a somewhat embarrassing picture of the United States and its foreign policy. Kelly Wright is up early in Washington with the very latest. Kelly.
Steve, good morning to you. Welcome back, by the way. It's 250,000 diplomatic cables, as you've mentioned. WikiLeaks has started posting them on its site. And as a result of doing that, it's causing a lot of damage within the diplomatic community. Several news organizations, including the New York Times, received in advance access to several news organizations, which published some of the material this afternoon, or actually yesterday. There's information on critical hotspots such as North and South Korea, Pakistan, and Iran. On the Iran situation, the cable reveals how many Arab leaders want to end Iran's nuclear program, and that Saudi Arabia has repeatedly asked Washington to attack Iran to cut the head off the snake. Another document that describes a discussion of missile strikes against al-Qaeda in Yemen, with the president of Yemen telling General Petraeus, we'll continue to say the bombs are ours, not yours, and basically that he'll lie to his own people about who's responsible for those strikes. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange says no one has ever been harmed by his website's publications, but White House thinks the leaks are very dangerous, saying in a statement by Gibbs, to be clear, such disclosures put at risk our diplomats, intelligence professionals, and people around the world who come to the United States for assistance in promoting democracy and open government. That statement coming from the White House Press Secretary, Robert Gibbs. Back to you.
Plenty of fallout today. All right, Kelly, we thank you very much.
At the very least, it's embarrassing, right? I mean, at the very least, this secret discussion that's going on is embarrassing for this nation. And there was so much damage control going on. If you read in the New York Times today, they give an outline of how they decided what they decided to print. And they actually let the White House look at some of the things that they were going to print. And then the White House said, hey, could you cut out this? Could you cut out that? They did not listen to every cutout. But here's some of the details that are so sensitive. And it has to do first with Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. I mean, she is writing things about different countries, different leaders, which they now know about. So she spent the entire weekend trying to make sure that it did not do irreparable damage with these countries.
And here's the thing that's inexplicable. That you have a private first class with this type of access, that all these other countries say, wait, all the communication that I have with the world's only superpower at the highest level has been exposed. But it's not because Colin Powell decided to change countries.
Right.
It's because not a former Secretary of State with this incredible access like George Shultz. This is somebody, a private first class, who probably was getting nowhere in the military, who, according to one report, was angry about breaking up with his boyfriend and wanted to cleanse the world of American dominance, and goes and heads and dumps this, and therefore disrupting our world diplomacy maybe forever. In fact, an Italian foreign minister called this the 9/11 for world diplomacy. And in particular, when you look at some of the insight in there, it couldn't benefit anyone. But I do find it fascinating that Saudi Arabia in particular looked at Iran almost at the same urgency and fear or wariness that we do, and urged us to attack.
You know, it's clear that what this Assange guy is trying to do is trying to harm the United States. Clearly trying to harm our prestige. You know, when you look at our foreign policy and power around the world, he would like to cut us down to size.
But who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
right.
but then at
That's
the same time, you have
it.
Saudi Arabia who wants us to attack Iran, so they keep coming back to America to do the dirty work and be the most powerful. That's the irony that I find in this.
And let me add this. They also find in this that Saudi, not Saudi government, but Saudis are the chief financiers to this day of al-Qaeda in the same communique.
So here's a quote from the Bahrain king, Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, to General Petraeus, who, of course, is running our troops over in Afghanistan. That program must be stopped, talking about Iran. The danger of letting it go on is greater than the danger of stopping it. See, I don't think that that's that revealing. I mean, I think we know that countries in the Middle East are uncomfortable for the most part with Iran and possibly getting nuclear weapons.
Well, it's just, how did this happen? These are top secret stuff. What is going to happen to the fellow who Brian was describing a little while ago, Bradley Manning? We know this morning, right now, he is sitting in a jail at Quantico, Virginia. And apparently, he has been charged, and that is him right there. You know, with this current case, he is being mentioned as a person of interest. But back in July, after that Apache helicopter video showing 2 Reuters employees being killed.
That was the beginning.
That was the beginning. That's when he was charged with transferring classified data, which has a maximum sentence of 52 years in jail. And we know a lot about this particular guy because he had communicated with a very well-known hacker in the United States, a fellow by the name of Adrian Lamo, and he was trying to get Lamo to help him leak this stuff. But Lamo turned double agent and got the United States involved and then wound up sending all of the stuff to the Pentagon.
Well, yesterday, some of the dialogue was about what should happen to Bradley Manning and what should happen to Julian Assange, who, by the way, Manning's been arrested, and Julian Assange up on rape charges in Sweden. Let's listen to Senator Lindsey Graham and Senator McCaskill talk about what should happen.
Well, one, leaking the material is deplorable. I agree with the Pentagon's assessment that the people at WikiLeaks could have blood on their hands.
Lindsey's right. The people who are leaking these documents need to do a gut check about their patriotism. And I think they're enjoying the attention they're getting. I hope that we can figure out where this is coming from and go after them with the force of law.
All right, so you go after them with the force of law, but to me, the biggest situation this morning is, what does this mean for the future of the U.S. and how they communicate with other leaders across the country? Because, make no mistake, they're going to be hesitant now. Unless they change the way in which they do this, and we live in this technology age, can they? 3 million people apparently had access to this type of information. So there was one guy who went rogue on it.
Right.
But do we need to completely change the way in which we communicate? But can we? And will it change the way in which we do diplomacy for the future? Well, that's my question this morning.
Part of it, Gretchen, starts with the fact that the Obama administration was trying to improve information sharing across the various platforms. And so now, according to the Pentagon, what they've done is they've made it harder for you to actually steal stuff.
Right. So, hey, let's look at the gossip real quick. In France, Sarkozy labeled an emperor without clothes. In Russia, they looked at Dmitry Medvedev and Vladimir Putin as plays
Batman.
Medvedev is Robin to Putin's Batman and called Putin the alpha dog. And Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi is as feckless, vain, and ineffective as a modern leader, as a modern European leader.
Well, you're leaving. Speaking of leaders, you're leaving out Gaddafi, who won't travel anywhere unless he's got the voluptuous, blonde, bombshell, 38-year-old Ukrainian nurse with him.
Right.
And
but who doesn't? No, I mean, I feel more secure when I travel with my 38-year-old voluptuous blonde nurse.
That could be the headline of the day. But you remember when Gaddafi was coming here for the UN, and there was all that scuttlebutt about him, he was going to stay out in, I think, New York or New Jersey somewhere. Well, the reason is apparently he's scared of heights. Yeah. So he always has to stay on the first floor level, and that's why he wanted to pitch a tent there. That's interesting.
Wow, that is kind of interesting.
Very interesting. Here's some other